What drives a person to the brink of ruin, madness, or even death in pursuit of a single obsession? History is filled with stories where ambition spiraled into destructive fixation tales that blur the line between brilliance and folly. From emperors chasing eternal life to inventors gambling their lives on doomed machines, these aren't just bizarre footnotes, but cautionary echoes of the human condition. In this video, we dive into the top 10 craziest historical obsessions and their tragic ends, each one stranger, darker, and more haunting than the last. At number 1, the first emperor's fatal elixir. Standing at the dawn of imperial China, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, is remembered not only for unifying the nation and standardizing culture, but also for his obsessive pursuit of immortality. His reign was marked by an unrelenting fear of death, which drove him into the arms of magicians and alchemists who promised secret formulas for eternal life. Believing wholeheartedly in their mystical practices, he consumed pills made from mercury, convinced that the shimmering liquid metal was the divine key to everlasting existence. This tragic irony defined his fate. The very elixirs meant to preserve his rule instead poisoned him, cutting his life short at only 49 years old in 210 BCE. Qin's story is more than a cautionary tale of misguided medicine. It reflects the dangerous hubris of absolute power. Despite commanding armies, building monumental projects like the Great Wall, and reshaping a nation, he could not conquer the inevitability of mortality. His desperate reliance on alchemy reveals a man blinded by the illusion that authority could override nature itself. The symbolism of Mercury, both alluring and deadly, captures the futility of his obsession. In the end, Qin Shi Huang's empire endured, but his fatal gamble against death proved that even the mightiest rulers are powerless against time. This tragic quest for immortality remains one of history's most fascinating examples of how unchecked obsession can destroy even the strongest of men. Coming in at number 2, the alchemist's desperate gamble. In the late 18th century, when modern science was already flourishing, James Price, a celebrated Oxford graduate and proud member of the Royal Society, clung to the fading dream of alchemy. At a time when chemistry was moving toward evidence-based discovery, Price boldly claimed that he could transmute mercury into gold and silver using mysterious red and white powders. His dramatic demonstrations initially earned him admiration, even catching the attention of King George III, but skepticism from fellow scholars soon mounted. They demanded he replicate his results under controlled conditions, stripping away the theatrical mystery he relied upon. Cornered and unable to reproduce his so-called miracles, Price stalled with excuses about exhausted supplies and the danger of preparation. Finally, when 3 Royal Society representatives arrived to witness his experiment in 1783, he made a shocking choice. Instead of proving his claims, he drank a lethal dose of laurel water, laced with deadly cyanide, and collapsed instantly before their eyes. His suicide was not only the tragic end of a man, it was the symbolic death of alchemy itself in the modern scientific age. What makes his downfall particularly haunting is the deeper meaning. Price's obsession with an outdated practice left him trapped between past and present, unable to bridge the gap between illusion and truth. Rather than admit fraud, he embraced death as a final curtain. His desperate gamble shows how the weight of obsession and pride can crush even the brightest minds when they resist the forward march of knowledge. At number 3, the flying tailor's last jump. Few stories illustrate the peril of obsession as dramatically as the tale of Franz Reichelt, a French tailor with a dream of revolutionizing aviation safety. Convinced he could design a wearable parachute suit for pilots, he devoted years to experiments. Time and again, his prototypes failed disastrously when tested with dummies dropped from heights, each crashing into the earth with little sign of success. Yet instead of rethinking his design, Reichelt clung ever tighter to his invention, believing that only he could prove its worth. On a cold morning in February 1912, he climbed the Eiffel Tower in Paris, stunning onlookers by announcing he would not use a dummy, but test the parachute himself. Despite warnings and offers of safety ropes, he rejected all caution, insisting that his 72 kilos combined with his invention would silence critics once and for all. Tragically, the suit failed as before, and Reichelt plunged 57 meters to his death, his impact leaving a chilling reminder of misplaced confidence. Unlike many inventors whose failures paved the way for future progress, His fatal leap was not born from calculated risk, but from defiant self-delusion. What makes his story so compelling is how his personal pride eclipsed scientific reality. His obsession was no longer about saving lives, but about proving himself right against all odds. His final act, captured forever on film, embodies the thin line between visionary ambition and fatal folly, making him one of history's most unforgettable examples of obsession gone tragically wrong. At number 4, The Curse of the Unlucky Mummy. Among the most enduring legends tied to ancient Egypt is the story of the so-called unlucky mummy, a coffin case housed in the British Museum that many claimed carried a dark curse. The tale, fueled by Victorian-era fascination with the macabre, suggested that the coffin once belonged to a priestess of Amun-Ra and brought death and ruin to anyone who came into contact with it. Early accounts tied it to the misfortune and financial collapse of Thomas Douglas Murray, while others pushed the myth further, claiming the coffin's presence was linked to the sinking of the Titanic and even unexplained vanishings on the London Underground. The story grew so wild that when a journalist photographed the artifact and allegedly saw a woman's face in the developed image before later taking his own life, it seemed to cement the mummy's terrifying reputation. Yet in reality, the so-called mummy was never a mummy at all, but only a wooden coffin lid, and the events attributed to its curse collapse under scrutiny. The artifact's true donor was A.F. Wheeler, not Murray, and most of the tragedies linked to it were exaggerated or entirely invented. What makes this obsession compelling is that the curse was never about the artifact itself, but about society's hunger for mystery. Fueled by Egyptomania, a frenzy for pharaonic relics, the story became self-sustaining, with each retelling adding new horrors. The tragic element lies not in the deaths it supposedly caused, but in humanity's obsession with myth-making, a reminder that collective imagination can be just as dangerous as any ancient curse. At number 5, The Hunt for the Impossible Machine. Few obsessions reveal the clash between human ambition and natural law as clearly as the centuries-long pursuit of perpetual motion machines. The dream of building a device that could run indefinitely without fuel captivated countless inventors, from sincere visionaries to outright fraudsters. One of the most notorious was Charles Redheffer, who, in 1812, unveiled his self-sustaining machine in Philadelphia, charging visitors hefty fees to witness the marvel. His device was so convincing that he even lobbied for government funding to build a larger version. But sharp-eyed inspectors noticed the gears were worn in the wrong direction, suggesting it was being driven by hidden power. Exposed, Redheffer fled to New York, where he attempted the same deception, only to be outsmarted again, this time by engineer Robert Fulton. Fulton observed its irregular movement, pulled away wallboards, and revealed a catgut cord leading upstairs, where an old man cranked the device by hand. The public, enraged at the fraud, destroyed the contraption on the spot. Equally haunting is the story of Johann Bessler, a German craftsman who swore his wheel achieved perpetual motion. When challenged to reveal its inner workings, he destroyed it instead, preferring obscurity to exposure. The tragedy of these men was not death, but erasure, the humiliation of being remembered as frauds or fools, consumed by an impossible dream. Their obsession embodies the eternal human temptation to defy the laws of physics and the inevitable ruin of those who try. In the end, the impossible machine became a graveyard of reputations, leaving only cautionary tales about the dangers of chasing something for nothing. At number 6, The Diamond of Despair. Gleaming with beauty yet cloaked in misfortune, the infamous Hope Diamond has been called one of history's most cursed jewels. For centuries, rumors claimed that anyone who possessed it was doomed to tragedy. French monarchs were said to have met violent deaths after wearing it, while later owners faced financial ruin and scandal. But the most striking chapter came with American socialite Evelyn Walsh McLean, who purchased the gem in 1911. Unlike others, she believed the diamond brought luck and wore it constantly, even at casual gatherings. Yet, her life unraveled with heartbreaking misfortunes. Her son perished in a car accident, her daughter succumbed to a drug overdose, and her husband descended into madness before dying in an asylum. Evelyn herself passed away in debt, her wealth gone and her family shattered. At first glance, the diamond seems to have been a harbinger of doom, but the truth is far more revealing. The story of its curse was deliberately crafted by French jeweler Pierre Cartier, who spun tales of bloodshed and misfortune to persuade the superstitious Evelyn to purchase it. The tragedies of the McLean family were devastatingly real, yet they had no connection to the stone itself. Instead, this tale is about the power of narrative, showing how a cleverly fabricated myth can shape belief, behavior, and destiny. The tragic end is not supernatural, but psychological. Evelyn's obsession with the legend blinded her to coincidence and gave weight to misfortunes that might otherwise have seemed ordinary. The Hope Diamond's curse remains a chilling example of how stories themselves can trap us, transforming coincidence into destiny and obsession into despair. At number 7, the madness of the tulip. Few historical obsessions illustrate the dangers of speculation as vividly as the Dutch Tulip Mania of the 1630s. Often cited as the first major financial bubble, the traditional tale made famous by Charles Mackay's Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds describes a nation overtaken by floral madness. According to the story, ordinary merchants and noblemen alike invested their savings in rare tulip bulbs, some paying more than the cost of an Amsterdam mansion for a single Semper Augustus. When the market collapsed in February 1637, the legend claims that countless families were ruined overnight, their fortunes erased by a single failed trade. Mackay's dramatic narrative painted tulip speculation as an economic apocalypse, a cautionary tale for his Victorian readers about greed and pride. Yet modern historians, such as Anne Goldgar, have revealed a more nuanced reality. The crash, though significant, caused little widespread economic devastation. Instead, the true tragedy was cultural. A collapse of trust in an honor-based economy where contracts, promises, and reputations held immense value. When tulip buyers defaulted, it shattered confidence in the Dutch credit system, leaving scars that went beyond money. The obsession with tulips was never just about wealth. It was about prestige, status, and fashion. For a society so deeply tied to trade, the unraveling of trust was more damaging than financial loss. The enduring myth of tulip mania persists not because of numbers, but because it serves as a metaphor for human folly, showing how desire and pride can distort judgment. Its tragic end was not bankruptcy, but a deep crack in the very social fabric of a trading empire. At number 8, the pioneer of the deep, Horace Hunley, a Confederate lawyer turned engineer, pursued an obsession that blended innovation with deadly risk: the submarine. During the American Civil War, Hunley believed his invention could turn the tide by breaking the Union's naval blockade. His creation, the H.L. Hunley, was a 40-foot hand-cranked vessel, an engineering marvel of its day, but fraught with flaws. In August 1863, during an early test, the submarine sank and killed 5 crew members. Undeterred, Hunley oversaw repairs, convinced of its potential. Just 2 months later, he personally boarded the vessel to restore confidence in its safety. The decision proved fatal. The submarine once again sank, killing all 8 men aboard, including Hunley himself. His death transformed him into a martyr for innovation, a man who literally went down with his dream. Yet the story didn't end there. Salvaged a 3rd time, the Hunley made history on February 17, 1864, when it became the first combat submarine to sink an enemy warship, the USS Housatonic. However, the victory was Pyrrhic. The vessel vanished beneath the waves, taking its crew with it yet again. Hunley's obsession exemplifies the razor-thin line between genius and tragedy, innovation and catastrophe. His sacrifice ensured his place as a pioneer of undersea warfare, but it also serves as a chilling reminder of the human cost of technological leaps. The tragic end of this story is twofold: the personal death of its inventor and the haunting fact that groundbreaking advancements often demand the highest price: human lives offered at the altar of progress. At number 9, the lost gold of the mountains. Throughout history, few obsessions have proved as irresistible or as destructive as the dream of hidden treasure. The legend of the Lost Dutchman's mine in Arizona's Superstition Mountains has lured fortune seekers for centuries, claiming countless lives in its rugged deserts. But in modern times, this timeless obsession was reborn through Forrest Fenn, an eccentric art dealer who in 2010 announced he had hidden a chest filled with gold and jewels somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. He published a cryptic poem with 9 clues, sparking a frenzy that captivated thousands across the globe. For some, the hunt became more than a pastime, it consumed their lives. At least 5 treasure hunters, including Randy Bilyeu, Jeff Murphy, and Pastor Paris Wallace, died in their pursuit. Others abandoned careers, relationships, and financial security to chase the elusive prize. Even after the treasure was confirmed found in 2020, lawsuits, accusations, and online threats erupted, proving that the obsession lingered long after the chest was unearthed. The tragedy of this story lies not only in the physical deaths, but in the psychological ruin it left behind. The Fen treasure became a mirror of the ancient allure of the lost Dutchman's mind. Both stories promised instant riches, both claimed lives, and both revealed the peril of human greed disguised as adventure. Modern media amplified the scale, turning one man's riddle into a cultural obsession. In the end, the true treasure wasn't the gold, but the sobering lesson our fascination with wealth and mystery can blind us, leading countless people to waste their lives chasing shadows in the mountains. At number 10, The Scientific Martyr. Closing our list is a story unlike the others, a tale not of deceit, delusion, or greed, but of sacrifice in the name of knowledge. Marie Curie, one of the most brilliant scientists in history, devoted her life to the study of radioactivity. Alongside her husband Pierre, she discovered polonium and radium, pioneering research that earned her not one, but 2 Nobel Prizes. Yet her brilliance was shadowed by an obsession with her work so profound that it blinded her to the dangers. Day after day, Curie handled radioactive samples with bare hands, carried them in her pockets, and stored glowing vials in her desk drawer. At the time, the effects of radiation were poorly understood, and her unwavering dedication slowly poisoned her. On July 4, 1934, she succumbed to aplastic anemia, a fatal blood condition caused by years of exposure. Unlike other tragic figures in this list, Curie's death was not a failure or a delusion, it was the price of discovery. Her obsession gave the world X-ray technology, cancer treatments, and a new scientific frontier. The tragic beauty of her story lies in the paradox. She advanced humanity while sacrificing herself, her brilliance leaving an immortal mark even as her body paid the cost. Unlike Qin Shi Huang, Reichelt, or Redheffer, Curie's obsession was not self-serving, but selfless, transforming her into a martyr of science. Her legacy proves that while obsession can destroy, it can also elevate, leaving a legacy that endures long after the life that carried it is gone. The obsessions we've explored, from doomed quests for immortality to cursed diamonds and lost treasures, show how a single idea can blind even the brightest minds to reason, logic, and self-preservation. Some paid with their lives, others with their sanity or reputation, but all remind us of the razor-thin line between noble ambition and destructive fixation. These aren't just bizarre footnotes in history, they are cautionary tales that still echo today. If you enjoyed this journey through history's strangest obsessions, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating content. Thanks for watching.